Welcome back. Okay, I feel like I gotta open that up while I stream. Oh, what up? Okay, welcome back. So, we just finished our first wonderful game. I managed to get a dose of my chips. Unfortunately, they weren't peri-peri. They were just like chips from the burger place down the road. Shout out to them. Really making tonight work. Besides that, shout out to MCOM for putting on such a wonderful tournament and Draz for hanging out with me. We are flying straight into draft, especially after the first game where Revolt Wyverns took an incredible victory. They pretty much stayed controlling the game the entire time. And after a wonderful performance, especially from Juco in the mid lane, playing on that Lissandra, they swept out the opposing team, and Triple G, with a bit of rashness, might be the right word, took some fights and were a little bit irresponsible at their pathing, and some silly picks that they made and some mistakes that Draz mentions that teams can't make, especially in those vital moments, came out, and that's really what cost him the game. As we load into our second one, Draz, how you feeling? I mean, we're seeing pretty much the exact same bands coming out.
Same bands coming through. Just to really quickly jump in before we get into that, predictions are live in the chat, so get your predictions in for who's going to win game 2 here. Keep in mind, side selection is the same. Bands are a little bit different, but bands are mostly the same. So get your predictions in before that's gone. Now, yeah, you pretty much summarized it. Mistakes were being made, and then the picks were quite strong. The team comps were interesting. I'd say team comp from Revolt was a little bit better. But game 2, anything can happen. We see Jinx, I think a champ that's a lot stronger than Zeri being shown so far.
Mayhem, look, I mean, Mr. Producer, sorry. Mayhem, Mr. Producer. Can you just switch back to our real cams for a sec? I think we've got too many people saying bad things about my chips. Look, guys, just come back to us, guys. Tell me that doesn't taste good. Go on, have a bite. Yeah, go on. Okay, we can go back. Guys, please, tell me I did it wrong, okay? Back to the draft anyway, we're seeing Sivir as our second lock-in. So we've got both our ADCs placed down right off the bat. And look, Jinx is someone I get excited to see, especially when faced up against Sivir, because they both take their time to scale in game, which means we're going to see a pretty steady early game where not much happens. But, mate, once you get further and further into that game, both of them are so much fun to watch.
Yeah, you're right. They're both fun to watch. I think Jinx is probably my preferred AD carry between the two, but Sivir, with the changes she received a little while ago now, has become a little bit more of an interesting champ and does scale a lot harder, becomes an absolute menace in the late game. So, in a sense, you've kind of got two similar champs in a way, and somewhat similar in the way that they're played. Wukong picked up, I'm assuming for the jungle though. I want to say the Vi was still on the board, but I respect the Wukong pick. It can be played very similarly.
Yeah, that's right. Wukong got some changes recently as well, where I'm fairly sure it's just a general nerf. As, again, I'll bring up the LCK finals, as that's something I was watching a lot recently, is that especially when Sejuani and Vi were both spearheading the jungle dangerousness, I think they had the highest presence out of all of them. But Wukong was actually the jungler picked the most, just because he doesn't get banned as much as the other two. So despite the nerfs, I think Wukong is still a really, really strong jungler, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that perhaps as a Maokai jungle, but we get to see Alistar. Oh my god. I might be the only Alistar fan on the planet, but I love Alistar so much.
Yeah, I'm going to follow that up with saying you are the only Alistar fan on the planet. I would have preferred to see anything else, maybe even a Blitzcrank. No, I'm just pulling your leg there, Quicksand. Yeah, you get the Alistar coming out. Obviously going to be in support, I would only imagine, with the Morgana, who should be pairing up against that. Interesting, because you've got double Spell Shield coming out with the Morgana and the Sivir, so Alistar can be scary, but also kind of has a little bit of counterplay there.
Come on, man, don't say that. Just let Alistar win the game, please. Look, he got buffed this patch. He's getting buffed the next patch. Just bring my boy back into relevance, please.
Oh god.
Okay, wait. What are your thoughts on the upcoming patch? So I got the leaks.
You have the leaks?
So apparently, Alistar's R is getting buffed from 7 seconds to 8.5 seconds.
That's I'm not a fan.
You think that's gonna be too strong? Or...
No, look, I'm just pulling your leg because I know you love Alistar a little bit. But you look, Alistar's, if played right, man, he can be a menace. He can be a menace. So buffing him might make him overpowered, and then they'll have to just kind of re-nerf him, right? But it's good to see because he doesn't get picked up as much as you probably want, even with how strong he is. But that means he might be put in the place where you see it a lot. A champion who is strong but just doesn't get picked gets buffed so that they get picked, and then they're just pick or ban. And I don't know if just a little bit of a buff to his ult's going to do that, but it could be scary. Silas, please lock that champion.
Yeah, look, I can't believe they locked in supports first before they locked in sides. Like, I think Alistar's a solid support, and as I said, only Alistar fan on the planet. But the fact that Alistar was picked at this point in the game is like, dude, I'm finna be honest. I don't think anyone was gonna take Alistar, man.
Yeah, you're right. You probably could have left it, but I mean, they could have used it as a, I guess, a safe pick so that they can, yeah, exactly right, so that they can have a counter pick coming out. They got the counter pick onto mid. Well, yeah, I guess that's a counter pick. I'm sure plenty of people will say Talia beats Silas. I don't think so. The Silas knows what he's doing, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Something I want to point out real quick as well is the only two bans that have actually changed in this sequence is the J4 and the Kled. Both two jams the team had a little bit of trauma with last game. I'm surprised the Kled came out as well. And, well, they did their default bans, but Kled was a pretty nasty top laner. And Malphite is what we're going to see in the top lane as well. Malphite has been so disgusting recently. Like, I think the last game I played, okay, maybe it's because I went like 1-10 and the Malphite went 27-3. But, he's unkillable when he gets fed.
Yeah, you're honestly right. Malphite's actually one of my most favorite champions in the game. So you've got the Alistar over on GGG. I've got the Malphite over on Revolt. So we know which teams we're rooting for now. And the Silas too. Love that guy. But Malphite is a bit of a menace. He is a little bit of a menace. And you've got now the Wombo with the Malphite and the Silas to go in at the same time. And the Wukong. Again, I'm seeing a very scary team comp come out from Revolt. And a team comp with maybe a little bit less definition coming out again for GGG here.
But taking a look at the comps as a whole, look, I want to have a quick chat about the mid lane because it sounds like this mid lane Silas versus Talia is a little bit controversial. You said some people think Talia beats Silas, some people think the other way around. Please, can you set the story straight about how you think this matchup is going to go?
Yeah, so I think if you're playing against or with a Silas who maybe isn't too proficient in this champion, you can zone him away with Talia. You know, you've got the knockback, you've got the little minefield which stops Silas from engaging. And although your ult can be useful for him, it's not like a game-changing ult in a team fight scenario, right? So, you know, he takes the ult, team plays safe, means Silas can't kind of roam. So there are plenty of ways to negate Silas, but I think if someone knows how to play Silas, it doesn't really matter because he can 1v5. He can blow up anyone. He can blow up Talia. He can outplay her and blow her up. And Silas is a very scary champion. Talia is a very easy target if she makes a single misplay.
Look, you may be able to 1v5 with Silas, but you can certainly 1v9 with Alistar. Sorry, I just wanted to say that. Okay, but I certainly see where that's coming from. And Silas, he has a plethora of ultimates to choose from. I mean, I think that Talia's is really ult is really solid to steal. Maokai's, if you're trying to lock people down. Alistar is kind of a get out of jail free card if you're struggling or getting caught out by something. So Silas, though it's not the most insane collection of ultimates, I'd say he certainly has a lot of utility behind him. And with a team like Malphite and Sivir, Wukong, Morgana, I mean, if Sivir managed to get ahead, then the utility from everybody else kind of makes this game unwinnable for Triple G.
Yeah, I think that's pretty solid. To add to that, though, they do have the Maokai and the Alistar, who can be a seriously scary frontline.
Right, they do.
They do. Look, credit where credit's due. They do. And Jinx and Talia in the backline are just straight up artillery. They're just firing away, dealing damage. And so there's definitely a win con for GGG. You know, Fiora's probably going to split push. And I don't know if that's going to benefit or maybe falter in this team comp. But there is a win condition. There is a play style coming out, I would like to imagine, from what I can see on the board. But I still have to give this draft over to Revolt.
Okay, well, I think we're both on the same page right now. Revolt is looking a little bit stronger. But perhaps the recklessness from Triple G can be subsided, and they can take control of this game. There's only one way to find out, and that's by watching it. So, we'll see you guys in just a moment on the Rift, while I indulge myself further in my dinner.
See you there.
Welcome back, everybody. Finally landed back down on the Rift for our second game. Starting off with a cheeky little attempt at a bush cheese. And now they're going to head up for the invade here. The team currently going for the invade, our red side, have taken away the first game. And they're going to try to catch down Jay Donis here.
Oh, and that they have done.
Oh, okay. Not the Alistar, man.
Some for some, and you know, kill goes over to Lightless. I think that's actually quite a problem here because I mentioned that, you know, the two spell shields in the bot lane and the Alistar having a hard time. He's now had to kind of come back into lane with a disadvantage here. Morgana's reset. No, she hasn't reset, so she hasn't spent it. Correct. Sorry. But look, Morgana's going to have the advantage, and it was already a scary lane if it kind of got out of hand for GGG here.
It's a pretty bad start, especially going to the hands of Lightless, who just makes this lane a million times harder. Sivir and Morgana facing up against Jinx and Alistar, who's a interesting matchup with her, because I'd say that Jinx survives the best with Peel, or more so Enchanters. Someone like Lulu, who can really just juice her up, you know, you get Wild Growth out, max health, like there's really nothing to worry about when you have a Lulu on your side, or even a Soraka, where you don't have to worry about lane. While Alistar does provide peel, and makes it easier for her to land her E in lane, which is the flame jumpers, rooting people down. Then again, when your Morgana is a kill up who hasn't had a chance to spend it, which is... was there enough time to back their dress?
Look, the jungler started at blue, so they had to help out West over there, and I'd say there was time to back. Maybe she wants to just save the gold and get a bigger purchase on her first back. But wow, mid lane already. This is what I expected to see with the skirmishes, but it could go either way.
Top lane seems like it'll be fairly relaxed as well, even with Puppey being on the Fiora champion who could put some pretty disgusting pressure down early game. Juko's going to do the same thing here to Jay, looking to push things down, and out West is going to get thrown down under the turret and barely makes it away with his life. That was an ability aimed at someone else, but has now knocked two members of Revolt down to just a sliver of health.
A very interesting play, and so this is going back to the point that I did make, where Taliyah can deny a lot of things, and it was going to deny Juko there, but then it denied Out West as well. So if played correctly, yes, Taliyah is an absolute threat, but I just think Sylas has way too much utility, way too many tools up his sleeve, and I think it's a harder lane for Taliyah than it is actually for Sylas.
Just want to point out the GOAT as well. Just put up the best of 3 score in the top for anyone in case wondering who won the last game. Revolt actually did take it away. It's just mid lane. Look, man, it's been pretty dangerous right now. Out West had a massive chance to spin this lane onto its head as well, but it was really well played by Jay to use that flash and get away as fast as he could, because it also cost Out West's flash.
It did. Did Out West flash? I thought Out West flashed earlier, but I could be wrong.
I think the timer looks about the same, but it could just be a little bit earlier. Either way, Puppey's forcing their way onto Vital, and oh my god. Oh, that feels
Isn't it
so
kind
disgusting.
of a little coincidence here that we've got Vital, who has Vitals right
Juko,
now.
he's used that as perfect bait, and Bristle Rider's pretty much spelt the death of his teammate. Hesitation for but a second costs Juko another kill and Jay his life.
Yeah, this is how I expected it to go. And now we're also 12 CS up. Taliyah's first purchase is that tier, so she can scale up. And the way I see it going now, especially with this little lead that Juko has, is that Juko is just going to run this Taliyah down on repeat.
Oh no. I mean, for Juko, that's a really, really good outcome. Taliyah, all ready to keep up the pace with Juko, has had to try to steady down her farm too. Lightless now the victim of a charge here from Jay Donis. Stewie's going to chase this one down, but they're not aiming for the ADC this time. And whether or not that's a consequence, we're about to find out. Lightless barely makes it away. Puppey putting the pressure on Vital means that it's going to get sent back at them. The Q on cooldown. Out West should have this one in lock. Takes down Puppey, and as our bot lane, it looks like we've had a successful escape here from the side of the Wyverns. A Q coming down, and Jay Donis barely slapping away Pretentious. Out West coming in for another gank. He is hungry, and this time Jay has no flash, and Juko gets to pick up another one.
Wow, what a turn of events, but we're now looking at an 0-4. 4 kills over to Revolt. Stylus, now, what are we looking at? Jeez, that's a lot of CS. 17, 15, almost 20 CS up, 20, over 20. It just keeps going. A lot of CS up and 2 kills up. I think mid lane is, I hate to say it, but pretty doomed. And you've got Out West already looking like he's going to keep applying pressure to these lanes. So it might just be another Out West Juko duo here where they just get a massive lead. Vital gonna fall though. No, he's not.
Oh,
yes,
Puppey can chase it. Yeah, there it is. Look, Puppey had such dominance on Vital, and I think Vital was got a little too excited as he pushed down a Puppey after getting an assist on Puppey, but Unfortunately, Vital's over-eagerness has cost him his life, and Puppey is certainly an avenue back into this game.
Yeah, I can see that, but at the same time, I don't think so, Quicksand. I see where you're coming from, and Fiora can be scary, but who is the Fiora against Malphite? And although she has the vitals and she has that true damage, it is a Malphite. Give him a couple of seconds. He's already got the the Bramble Vest, and soon enough going to grab his plate of steel caps, and all of a sudden she's going to hit like a wet noodle. She's gone for tier as well, so you know a lot of that gold not really scaling up at this point in time, and Vital soon is just going to become a meat shield.
I think that's a really solid breakdown, actually. I kind of forgot she was playing against a Malphite for but a moment, and now he's getting the chance to run her down again. This time, both of them level 6, so whether or not they're going to execute down on this one, Bristle trying to lock down, but Vital has the R to back himself up. And even with Out West coming down the bot side, it's pretty chill, but that gank was more than enough to give them room to get that prio, that pressure, and now they're going to be able to force the Drake here.
Yeah, the thing is you know Malphite's hit 6, you know he has that R. I'm going to stop here.
I think we're nice and steady.
Really quick breakdown on that there. So, you know he has that ult. If he hasn't used it before your gank, he's going to get away with it. Sure, you've blown that ult, but look at the map. You don't have enough vision on the jungler, or if they did see the jungler, then that was a huge misplay. Dragon is up, your bot lane is being pushed out. Why would you risk appearing there just to blow a Malphite ult?
Yeah, well, Malphite as well. He's kind of unkillable because his flash, he can just get his flash and his ult on cooldown. And as long as he takes the risk to walk up to Fiora, he's going to find an opening, especially when her Vital's in the wrong place. That's the thing that sucks about Fiora, is that even though she's such a brilliant character to play and such a tough one to play against, is if the timing gets messed up or you get really unlucky, then those Vitals just, like, obviously they rotate out of 4, but sometimes you just bump into your laner and it just gets into the 2 or even 3 spots that it just can't get into and you can't start that fight.
Yeah, that's pretty true. It's hard enough for her to do damage to Malphite as it is, but if the Vitals are just in a terrible spot, then Fiora basically just has to walk away and just let them reset, which gives Malphite a little bit more priority, lets him get some CS, and you can see, although he's behind, he's catching up, and we expect to see that CS deficit from the Malphite in the top lane.
It's going to be coming out steadily, but the CS deficit is still staying just as bad in the mid lane. As after Sylas has taken his lead, Jugo's kind of just like free farming, as well as forcing Jay off the lane. Poor Talia, man. As you said, I think Drac, you predicted this perfectly. Like, it wasn't really going to go any other way. After we saw Jugo pick up those first 2 kills, Jay is kind of forced out of the game now. And is there anything he can do to put himself back?
Very hard to say. Look, he has hit 6, he can use that ult to roam and impact other lanes, but really what lane does he impact? If he goes missing, he's either going to get followed by a Sylas and potentially risk falling even further behind, or he's going to arrive in top lane and not kill a Malphite because it's a Malphite, or bot lane and probably not kill the Sivir and Morgana duo because they have 2 spell shields. So there's an avenue, but it's a very, very busy avenue.
That's a good way to describe it. A busy avenue, as Puppey has finally found the fast lane, pushing Vital down to half their health, and no trade back has got to hurt for this Fiora. Oh, sorry, hurt for this Malphite. As Fiora manages to get away, Bristle Rider is going to face down Out West, and guess who's coming down to combat it? Out West is going to get the chance to go over the wall, but Puppey's predicted it. Now, whether or not that blast gun comes in handy, Puppey still going to push on the chase, and maybe Jay has a chance to make an impact here. Ping to back off, and Fiora attempting to chase down Out West, who sneaks away with the Rift Herald.
Yeah, look, Vital has got his Vital on the right side now. Puppey is caught, but Bristle...
Yeah, Vital's come down with the ult now, and they're all going to get rooted onto the ground. Out West going to get smited! And Fiora picking up the kill on Elena. That's huge.
That is huge, and I think that was a really, really poor play from Out West, actually. Hesitated to make the play earlier, and then decided, no, halfway through that play, I've got to go in. But Puppey hadn't used her riposte yet, and then suddenly goes in at the worst possible moment. Okay, but Juko just...
Yep. Steals Puppey's special trick, her ultimate, taking her down, and Now Puppy's in a pretty awful spot. She's managed to hold on though, long enough for Bristle Rider to arrive, and maybe not all is lost just yet. She tries to go back in to get the pick, but it's not enough, as Juko gets one, and now Bristle Rider's the one in trouble. This 1v2 has turned into a 1v, whole lot of trouble, as Juko forcing down upon Bristle Rider, and there's nothing he can do. Jay coming for backup, and it looks like the laner that has been dominated for so long by Juko finally gets a chance to make a contribution by keeping her jungler alive.
Yeah, that's a battle we've really seen Jay pull out here. And look, it's been hard to analyze step by step this game so far, but I think the overall kind of expectation was exactly what I said. You know, you've got the Malphite in the top lane. Fiora's going to get a lead, but is it going to matter? Probably not. And then Sylas is just going to start to dominate and create pressure. So really what happened in the top lane? Fiora got a bounty, and it just went straight over to the menace that is Juko.
Sylas on his way here to take down the Alistar as Out West decides to make the turn. A 3v2, perhaps a precarious scenario, turning into a 2v4, and they're going to have to try to break it out. Now the bot lanes come up to support them as the Jinx Rocket comes down, shuts down Wukong once again, who had that hint of hesitation at the start of the fight. Lightless forced to burn the flash, and there's pretty much nothing Juko can do to try and participate in this fight.
Yeah, they've really zoned him off here, and if he does go in, he is just going to fall for it. 300 gold shutdown that he doesn't want to give over.
Oh, he's tried to go for it, and he's forced to dash out. He wants the blast cone, and he's taken Bristle with him. He may just get the pick here with the Jinx W. He's going to have to steady his gaze with the rest of the team going to back them up. Maybe Alistar's hastiness has cost him. Barely made it away.
And that's what I mean. For Juko, that was a really, really bad fight that almost just turned good because of kind of the position he's in. And speaking of that position, let's just have a quick look now. Nearly 40 CS up, and stacks coming out on the Rod of Aegis. By the way, love the fact that that item's returned. Finally gives a couple of champions, Sylas, and of course, notably, Kassadin, a way to play the game now, which is great.
Raz, could you give us a quick breakdown on the Rod of Aegis here as our Chemtech Drake is getting taken down? What exactly does it do, and what are these stacks for?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because it has been missing from the game for a little while. So while I imagine most people have seen and heard of it, and probably even seen it throughout this season, it was an item that has...
Oh,
you know what?
Whoa, Juko might get shut down here, though. Fiora has come down with the ult, and it's been enough. She gets the health reset and may be able to turn here on Out West. The Cyclone, the Fury, the spinning, not enough. As Poppy kind of just gets to get a pick and chill out. Back to you, what you were saying, Draz.
So yeah, it's an item that's been in the game at some point, so people will know about it, some people won't. It is pretty much just a stat stick, I'd like to call it, in my opinion.
Stat stick.
It is. It gives you AP health and mana, and what it does is it continues to scale out for, unless they've changed it, I believe 10 minutes. At 10 stacks, it just continues to gain all of those 3 stats. So more mana, more health, more AP. And then just like any catalyst item, it does give you mana and health back based on what you spend.
And how do you get stacks?
The stacks just accumulate throughout the, I think, 10-minute period. So, unless they've changed, sorry. That's how the old rod worked. Let me just double check here. Okay. Yeah, every 60 seconds up to 10 times. So, in 10 minutes, the item's fully stacked. It is just a bigger stat stick than it was to begin with.
Jay's tried to go top lane to escape his laner, but Juko decides to not only steal Jay's ult, but start running him down with auto attacks as well. A little Garen emote as well, just a style on his laner. He gets the pick, and now he can traverse straight back to his lane as fast as he wants. Though there's no rush, as Vital has got the chance to come down and see yes after this Fiora has been threatening him for so long. Pretentious has turned around on Stewie. Stewie can't get away fast enough. The kiting isn't good enough.
What was that, Stewie?
Stay alive as well. Lightless gets the root down, and Pretentious may just be able to stay in this divot and stay away. Finally, Alistar gets across the wall. Lightless gonna get stunned. Can they take this 1v1? Juko may get shut down by Poppy once again, and the tower shots aren't enough. Juko has just enough regen to keep himself alive, and Poppy, that's so unlucky. Out West now wants to come down and try to get Poppy into a ditch, but Juko's gonna chase it as well. This may be a bit too hasty.
Could be a little bit hasty. I think Juko's on the right thing here by moving.
Oh, Vital.
Oh, what a play by Vital.
Oh, okay. This is a teleport coming down as Jay may be in the right place at the right time now, as Poppy, still staying topside, has a chance to get a pick on a double now, which was
a double
as well, in case you missed it. And Vital, the ult may have been humongous, but the pick may be even bigger.
Yeah, wow. I appreciate the ambition coming out from Vital when he made that play in the bot, but he did kind of do it without knowing where everyone else was. We know Puppy on her own was chasing everyone in the top side, so where was everyone else, you know? And that did come back to bite them in the ass. Vital does fall, and surprisingly, Out West and Juco just overstayed that for some unknown reason, which has now made Fiora 5-2. So I think keeping this Fiora at bay was very simple, and it just got a whole lot harder.
And we mentioned earlier in the game that Fiora might become a threat that brings Triple G to victory, but a Malphite really does make that so much harder. If Fiora can break through this line of that Malphite just being unkillable, then we've actually already seen the impact that she can have, especially on Juco, on that Silas, who's just been pretty much unkillable the whole game. And then all of a sudden, Puppey just turns up and crushes him. So, in an isolated 1v1, right now, Puppey has been able to take down Juco, not just because of the item advantage that she has over him, but has been consistently doing so for a while. So, unless Vital can peel strong enough, then Puppey can just jump down onto Juco, then give the rest of the team an avenue to break back into the game.
Yeah, the thing I want to counter that point with, though, is that when you pick a Fiora, and especially with the build that you've got the Fiora grabbing here, you kind of intend to play her in a side lane and pull pressure. You're right in saying that if she gets on top of Juco, it's a problem, but I think the counter to that is just don't send Juco after her. And maybe it's too late for that. Maybe they change strategy. She hasn't built anything like a hull breaker or anything that requires her to stay in a side lane, right? So she can just join those team fights, although she is significantly weaker when doing so. So there's a couple of avenues there, but really I think after you've seen what she can do to Juco, just don't send Juco after her. And they did that again a second time, which is really, really unfortunate for them.
So do you reckon that Poppy's still a major threat right now, despite the fact that, yes, they can just not send Juco after her? Because she can just split push, and she has pretty much free reign of the lane that she's in. And then she can take away so many players. Bristle going down here as well with a shutdown, getting handed over to Juco, which is pretty essential. As I was saying, Puppey can draw multiple players down. So that means that the rest of the team fights are pretty down-numbered. So if Jinx still starts getting ahead at the rate she is, then she may be able to make a big impact on the game. Jay barely making it out of that fight too, and looks like the Wyverns are getting into a spot where they're just down a little bit of health. They do have the chance to take the Ocean Drake here though, and Juco, can't find it on Jay.
Tried for it. You make a pretty good point. She's 5-2 now. That's a mishap, probably mostly from Juco, to be honest. A little bit overconfident, seeing a side lane pick, thought she could grab, or he could grab the kill, and definitely couldn't. Did that mistake twice, which has now put Fiora in the position that you're mentioning. Ooh, an attempted steal coming out there, but I think it's really hard to say. We can see here that Vital is still able to play reasonably safely. Puppey can kind of ignore him, as we saw before. She did just go and hit the tower, ignored the Malphite that was standing right next to her, and she'll do that again now with her Demolish proc, I imagine. But I still think Vital can keep her at bay. It's just going to be a lot harder now than it was before Juco into 2 kills.
There you go. She wants the tower. And maybe she's gone a bit too far. Vital's on full health. Oh my god. She procced 2 Vitals as fast as she could. And she's going to go for the 4th. Gets the health proc regen, but maybe the tower shot was too much. In the top lane, the tower's going to go down, but we take a look back into the mid, where Pretentious is completely wiped out of the fight. They don't have their ADC. Still, they're skirmishing. Vital. Oh my god, no way! I mean, I feel like I could tell from a mile away Puppey could have taken that one, but Vital still attempting to go back in.
Yeah, it's a rough one. I mean, I guess Juco was close by, and they know that they wanted to get this kill here regardless. So a big shutdown. I do understand Vital giving his life there, but I think very poorly played. You push the Fiora away, you get her low, and you can just walk away. You've done your job. Your job isn't to kill her. Your job is to stop her from doing her job.
Oh! Super Mega Death Rocket almost taking the red jungler out of the game, but Juco's not done. He wants this 1v2 as he takes the Super Mega Death Rocket. He's not going to send it down just yet, but he has an absolutely fantastic shutdown tool when he waits for it. Jay now getting the turret, trying to defy the precedent that his lane's put on him, as Juco's going to get pushed down here by Jadonna, stuck inside the Raptor Pit. Barely makes it out, but now has Bristle Rider all to himself. Bristle Rider gone down, and now it's a 3v2. This bot lane duo is going to have a hard time fighting off the mid laner, forcing a flash out. And they're in a pretty precarious scenario right now, but something I need to bring up now. Hold on, when did Triple G get above in kills?
When Fiora picked up a double kill and Malphite died in the bot lane, I believe, so 3 kills over, and that was what swayed it. However, since then, it's been a little bit back and forth, so 1 kill lead. I think, like I said, I want to go back to that point. Vital's goal is not to kill Puppey, it is to stop her from doing her job. I understand they got the shutdown. Out West picked up 400, 700 gold from that kill, but I just want to see Vital keep her at bay.
And on top of that, I mean, it looks like the Wyverns are slightly behind in gold right now. It seems like they should just be playing around the next dragon objective right now. Or if they do so, are they putting themselves in a situation where they might not be able to fight the dragon when the moment comes?
Oh, that's a really good question.
He's come down a drop. He's pushed Puppey down. Puppey uses the W. It isn't counter, so it won't get a stun. The Cyclone's enough to shut down the Fiora. As Bristle Rider wants to turn this around with his entire team at his back. Malphite going to be kept safe here. There's a Super Mega Death Rocker takes out the Monkey. And now Lightless is going to get knocked into the fight, taken out all alone. As Vital is going to be the one to escape thanks to the Black Shield given by Morgana.
I personally think the same mistake was just made. Stop trying to kill Fiora. And I'm gonna say it again. Stop trying to kill Fiora. Play the map, not Fiora's game, because this is what she wants. That ties very much into your dragon point, because we can see what's happened here at Baron now. You go for Fiora, even if you kill her, at what cost? And that cost is any objective that GGG wants on the map.
Well, Maokai's just pinged his smite, and it's actually not up. So they're still going to take this regardless. Oh my god, why would you do that? Oh, they get the pressure up on the Baron just as the smite was about to come up, and all it took was a Jinx W. Oh, thank god they got it, man. But my heart was racing for a second, man.
Okay, so they've got the Baron now. This makes Fiora extremely strong. She's a much bigger threat. Do I think that they should try and kill her? No, I think that they should focus on this dragon, and if killing her is what's needed, sure. She is positioned down in the bot, so she can participate. She has Ignite up, but priority and lane pressure is currently going to the side of Revolt. They might be able to pick this up.
Securing that Baron as well, which was, I'll say it again. That was a pretty risky scenario, boys. Well, look. You could have just held steady for maybe another second or two and gotten the smite. I get the rush and the need for the pace to pick it up, but that really could have just given the game straight over to the Revolt if they weren't careful. So there's not much room here for Morgana to get away. Oh, ouch. Right before the dragon. As we mentioned, those dragon objectives are so important. And Puppey's actually here for the objective this time, which makes it pretty much unwinnable when they try to fight as a team, because not only that, they've lost their Morgana, who has been making a fairly strong impact with those stuns. They're still going to make an attempt here, though, as Out West dives straight into the fight. Once Stewie can't find him, as Out West Super Mega Death Rocket going to chunk him down. Bristle Rider stays out, too, to keep that smite alive. Out West gone. Now it's Vital and Juco juking it out in the middle. Jay Donis, they focus that support, who takes no damage. And that's pretty much guaranteed the fight in the hands of Triple G.
It has, but it's turned 2 for 3, which isn't the end of the world. But I do go back to the point of it's not worth fighting this Fiora. If she was on her own, if they could pick up a kill on her before the dragon and use that to secure the dragon, then maybe she was worth targeting. But she was in that dragon pit. You know that they've got Baron still, so they're going to walk back to lane and push those out if you lose a fight there. And I just don't think the fight was worth taking when you know how much of a threat that she is. She's now sitting at level 15. She's 8-4. She's got not a huge CS lead, admittedly. Malphite's managed to keep up, but she is scary. Fully stacked Manmune. She's an absolute monster right now.
And Jay, as well, CS-wise, is making a real effort to keep up, despite being 40 CS down, like 5 minutes into the game. Jay's managed to keep that lead pretty similar. So not falling behind after the initial laning phase is pretty impressive. And I think Jay trying to stay in this game has opened up some other avenues to give Triple G a way back into the game. And sorry, not even a way back into the game. We're long past that point. A way to win the game with those throws and the stone weaving wall. I mean, there's just so much utility they have on their side that Silas hasn't really been able to take advantage of. I've seen a lot of the Maokai route, but I mean, maybe it's just my assumptions, but how useful is it for Silas to take that to Leo? Oh, uh-oh.
We'll leave it till the end of this fight, but...
Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, no way he's going to get away here. Puppey gets the dash down, and it's a flash for a flash. He's speeding up, and Puppey may not be able to make it. What? Hold on. I swear that rocket hit. Either way, it wouldn't really make a difference, but the
It
rocket
definitely wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah.
I do want to say, actually, sorry, maybe you can fill me in there because I feel like I missed something. Maybe we stop and wait for this fight.
Vital is going to steadily chip down Jay here. Doesn't have the ult in hand anymore, as Bristle is going to bring down the root. Down goes the ADC, and Juco's down too. There's a really big opportunity here to take the inhibitor. Can they keep pushing up right now? As Lightless and Out West are the ones trying to hold this tower steady. They do have Stewie as well to chip down the tower, but they're not going to hold on to it. Draz, you were saying?
Yeah, so how exactly did that fight start there? How was Juco anywhere near Puppy? Was that a...
Juco was just farming, and the Puppy was like, yo!
Yeah, she got behind him, and that's my concern is... I think it seemed like you've got Revolt who has realized, you know, Juco and Puppy can't fight. We need Juco elsewhere. And then somehow...
No way. Juco... Okay, he's got Lightless on his back foot. Puppy realizes it may be a bad scenario, but has already chopped down Juco to half health. Oh my god, it's too much! Forced to go golden. The Mega Death Rocket won't hit the lowering Silas. He has the Alistair ult to try and keep himself alive, but now the Vital's proc, which means Vital is in a real bad position. As Puppy, even though it's a mouth fight, it may be too much. And now Puppy, that's another shutdown here on the mouth fight, in the middle of the predicament, gets the W out to keep themselves alive, and Pretentious gonna get rooted as well. Bristle, that's huge! What a good use of the ult to just keep the rest of the team down. And Lightless has barely made it away, but as a Morgana, there's not too much you can do to keep these guys at bay.
Yeah, so to summarize, basically, Revolt doesn't really know what to do about this Fiora. They were on the right track for a little bit there, where they just kind of let her side lane and let Vital try and keep her at bay. Even if he failed, it means that they can do more on the map. But I guess GGG did kind of counter that by saying, okay, well, we'll keep our team next to Puppy. She is our carry, Fiora is our carry. We're gonna have our team nearby so that if one person's there, we get a pick. If the whole team's there, then she kills them all. And it's working very well for GGG. They seem to have recognized the adaptability that's come out from Revolt, and then they've kind of adapted to beat that too now. So the win con very clearly is to just play around Fiora. She has fallen now, but she will be back up. Baron on the board as well. And I think it's going to be very hard for Revolt to bring that back. Actually, 2 poor fights, 2 misplays by Juco, and now they're in a very dire situation.
Baron's up 2, getting pinged here by the blue side. And Revolt knows that it is a danger. That's why our West is just chilling right now. He's been spotted by the far side ward. Lightless ready to back him up. And Jay Donis is going to try to zone everyone away. Puppy as well. Up on the front lines. This is Baron. Just gets chipped down. There's not really much these guys can do. The Baron may just fall straight into the hand of Triple G, and there it is. That's a pretty effortless secure of the Baron, and Draz, perhaps a responsible decision from Revolt. I don't know how you thought that one could go down.
It's pretty much, they did what they could, which was nothing, pretty much.
Dragon, though.
Dragon is on the board. They have rotated down for it. This is going to give them soul. I don't think the soul is going to be all that useful, but it is a tool at their disposal nonetheless. And it's interesting to me to see that they haven't sent anybody down. I mean, Fiora on her own could probably win that fight down there, but I guess they want her top lane to just push out these towers, maybe open up a second in him, maybe even get that second in him. So
they're going to be chipping down the inhibitor turret right now, especially with Puppy's damage and Stewie's. They should be able to just chunk this inhibitor down, and maybe that Ocean Soul was enough to give them the confidence that's down on the front lines of this fight. Juco's going to get the Malphite ult down, sorry, the Maokai ult down, and they both hit both teams as they're rooted down. The rocket misses, and it's a fiesta down in the middle. Now West has got the Cyclone pretty much hitting everybody, and Juco's taking a second to sit at the back, and now Puppy is out of the fight, which means they have a chance to win this one. The Ocean Soul may be more pivotal than we thought. Bristle barely gets out. Jay Donovan's going to get shut down in exchange for the Silas. And now Lightless gets to stay alive. Here's Stewie. He's going to be able to shut down the laning support he's been facing against the whole time. Lightless doesn't go for the fountain. And that means that he's not going to be able to hang around here as the battle pretty much gets ended up despite Puppy being taken away.
Yeah, you know what? I stand corrected. So I said, I don't know if sending nobody down for this dragon is the play, but it was the play. They had the strength. I did kind of forget to take into account the fact that they had Baron at the time as well. So Baron's still actually there for Jinx and the rest of the team. Yeah, the push made sense. They lost Puppy, but they pushed hard enough that they could get to a position where they could win that game. And credit to them. We're going to a game 3, Quicksand.
Maybe, last game I said Juco got that dog in him, but I think it'd be far more appropriate to say Puppy got that dog in him. So Puppy blew my mind that game. We saw at the start, got slightly ahead on top of Malphite. Just a little bit. And then played up against Juco, who was like, mate, I got this. He, in fact, did not have it. And then when Revolt asked him, yo, can you do this again? He's like, I got this. He, in fact, did not have it a second time. And that kind of just put Puppy in this crazy spot where even though they were facing up against a Malphite who pretty much should ideally be able to negate all the damage that's coming down from a Fiora, didn't really get to happen. And it couldn't hold Juco back from fighting Puppy time and time again. And even that fight we saw just before the Baron where things started really going downhill in the top right jungle. So that's that was the home jungle there for the red side. And that pretty much handed over the Baron because they, again, we saw Juco go in for an engage up against Puppy. And even though he had his team behind him, it just wasn't enough. Puppy kind of just played out of his mind that game.
He did play out of his mind that game, but you mentioned it. Mistakes came out. Juco tried to fight, thought he was ahead, got proven wrong, and then pretty much showed us what the definition of insanity is by going straight back to try the play again after giving a shutdown over. Was never going to work. Wasn't going to work in the first place. I appreciate the effort and the attempt. The attempt was given, and then it was done again for some stupid reason. And while credit to Puppy for playing the way that he did, or that they did, and then kind of taking that lead and using it to win the game, I think it's more of a misplay from the side of Revolt than it was kind of a smart play from the side of GGG, which means that it's very easy to go back to the drawing board and fix that mistake and not let it happen again. However, if their win condition for GGG was to kind of play off a mistake, well, then they've got a big problem there because they can't guarantee it happens again.
That is very true. Because, from the start of the game, it was kind of already won for the side of Revolt. Like, we thought it was already won because Silas had a free lane and was up like 3 kills. So if they just don't make the same mistakes again, which is easier said than done, but it kind of should be their game just by the way the state of the games were going. If Juco didn't get the chance to kind of run it down into Puppy, then this would be a very different game. Look, Casual is saying, sorry, Casual, one of the other most amazing casters on the planet, has actually said he's got the script for the whole tournament in his hand. I'm actually a little curious how he thinks this game is going to go. Everyone else, we will have predictions coming up for our last game up very, very soon. But in the meantime, maybe write your predictions in chat and why you think they're going to happen. Draz, how do you think this final game is going to go?
That's a good question. And just to touch on, if we're talking about the chat really quickly, GG can't catch a break from these casters. Look, it's not that. GG's playing like to the best of their ability, and look, they won that game, and credit to them for winning that game. But they had very slow tempo, and it's not about dissing the team; it's about dissing the play, and the play wasn't there until Revolt made a mistake. I want to see them come back in this third game. I want to see them win the game from the start. I want to see a strategy that has merit, that is going to win them both the early game, the mid game, and the late game. But Revolt's been playing the early games very well, and if they don't let them slip out of their hands again, Revolt should be winning the third game based off that.
All right, well, now we've got a chance to let these thoughts marinate in our minds. And then we can give our final predictions just after that. So everyone, please get your channel points ready. It's either about time to give you the fattest wallet you've ever had, or you probably have to give away your wallet because you bet that much. We'll find out on the other side of this break.